All right, welcome back. Jeff Davis is here with you. This time we're going to start dissecting what I call part 2 of our ranges and our tiers. But this time we're going to talk about individual sections within a specific township. So we've got what we called a township here, as we remembered, 6 miles by 6 miles. Well, we divided that, each township, into 36 unique 1 square mile by 1 square mile. What do we call that? A parcel? Or how about a section? All right, done. So in this case, from the previous example, we used township, tier 31 north, range 14 west. What we did is, in this case, in this video, you're going to see how we highlight things, and I want you to follow closely along with the arrows. In a township, you always have the 36 sections, but they're always going to start with number 1, and that number 1 is always going to be in the top right-hand corner. That's something you have to remember, okay? When you talk about a section of land, I don't care if it's number 1, 20, 36, or 14, that section of land is going to have 640 total acres. An acre, I hope you remember, is 43,560 feet. Okay, just a little refresher. Now, if number 1 is in the top right and number 36 is in the bottom right, what you're going to want to do is draw it out like a snake. All right, so if that missed you, let's do it again. We're going to draw it out, starting with top right, number 1, going left, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once we hit 6, the snake drops down to 7. Then it goes to the right, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, drops down to 13, and all the way down it goes. It goes, drops down, all the way, and ends at section 36. So when you're taking your exams, the best thing to do is sit down quickly on your scratch paper before you start, draw out a square, put the lines through it, and just label 1 top right, 6 top left, 36 bottom right. Now, if you have sections that touch, they're contiguous. They're touching at any point. So section 15 is contiguous or touching. Well, section 11, 9, 21, and 23. Yes, it's even touching at those bare corners. You might see the term abutting. Sections that are butting up to each other are known as abutting. So in this case, section 15 is abutting sections 10, 16, 14, and 22. Okay? When we get into sections, well, that can be further divided into acres. Each section has how many acres? Well, perfect, 640 acres. As long as you remember that, we must be teaching right so far. Let's see if we can't continue. 640 acres. If I cut that into the east half and the west half, that's pretty simple. We know that 640 divided by 2 is 320 acres. Now, can we cut that down yet again into quarters? Of course. So 320 divided by 2, that means each quarter of a section is going to be 160, 160, 160, 160. Can we divide that even further? Of course you can. Now, you might remember some of those old movies. 40 acres. I think Gone with the Wind. They said you too can have 40 acres and a mule. So in order to try and encourage westward expansion, the government was giving away a 40-acre parcel of land plus a mule to help you work the land if you were to homestead it by going out west. This is where all this comes back to. Now, on the exams, they're going to try and trick you. They're going to try and ask you how to identify how many acres are in different parcels of land that somebody may own or may want to farm or may want to sell. So here's a good example. Okay, we identified these 3 different parcels, and you can see the one parcel on the top right-hand corner is a full section of 640 acres. Then this person owns half of the other section to the side and half of the other section below it. In this case, to identify how many total acres, we just add it up. So 320 plus 320 plus 640 acres, this parcel was 1,280 total acres. Now, when it comes to trying to identify a single parcel of land, what you want to do is divide the section into fractional parcels. Then you further divide that fractional parcel into smaller parcels. This is how we do it. East half and west half. North half, south half. Pretty easy. But what we want to do, quarter it. Northeast quarter, northwest quarter, southwest quarter, southeast quarter. Then you can further divide that. In this case, this is the northern half of the northwest 1/4. This parcel that we're talking about here is the eastern half of the southeast 1/4. Now the fun begins. How do we calculate the acreage of these parcels? So we made up the random one here. We want you to calculate the acreage in the legal description recognized as the south half of the northwest 1/4 of the northeast 1/4. So when you see the term of the, well, here's what we're going to do. We solve from right to left. Of the means it's a part of. So when we solve from right to left, we've even color coded it. We go backwards, just like in the legal description, we're going to go backwards from right to left. So we drew out a square on our scratch paper. We found the northeast 1/4. Of the, we want to try and find the northwest 1/4. And of that, we want to try and find the southern half. So we color coded it to try and make it a little bit easier to understand and comprehend here. Now, how do you calculate that though? Well, we're going to multiply the halves and the quarters in the description, and then we're going to divide the total into 640. So for every 1/2, that's going to be 2. If you see a quarter, that's going to be 4. So in this quarter, we take the denominators, which was 4 times 2, and that gives us 32. We divide that into 640, and we come up with a total of 20 acres. Now, that's for the mathematicians in the class, in the room, great. A lot of people, they like to just flat out draw a square. Okay, a square is 640 acres. I'm going to cut that into quarters, which is our blue. Now, I remembered 640 acres divided by 4. That means that the blue portion was 160. Then we cut that into quarters again. Now we know the green portion by shading it in was 1/4 of 160, or in this case 40. And then the southern half of that, well, that's 20. Either way you do it, it gets you the same answer. Now on your exams, they might ask you how to calculate multiple parcels. Now remember, if they use the term and, that means we're going to add 2 distinct separate pieces of land. If they see the term of the, that means we're going to multiply. Of the, this, which means part of that. All right, here we go. The northern half of the northeast 1/4 of the southwest 1/4 and the southeast 1/4 of the northwest 1/4. How do we do it? All right, we're going to multiply each parcel separately and then add them together. Now before you start freaking out, remember, color-coded, and we're going to go from right to left. We have one big parcel, 640 acres. How do we calculate that into the southwest 1/4? Well, we just flat out shade it. Southwest 1/4. Then we took the northeast 1/4 of that. Then we cut that in half, and we have the north half there. All right. So doing that all together again, we're going to say the denominators. 4 times 4 times 2. Well, that gives us 32. 32 goes into 640, total of 20 times. That means that parcel right there is 20 acres. But don't forget, they said and. And means there's a separate section or a separate parcel we have to record and try and understand. So let's try and draw it out. Well, they want the northwest 1/4. And then they want us to divide into that the southeast 1/4 of that. So denominators, 4 times 4, that gives us 16. 16 goes into 640 40 times. If we were to add up 40 acres plus 20 acres, I certainly hope that gives us 60 acres. All right, guys, that was a relatively quick, but hopefully color-coded and easy to understand how to calculate acreage inside of parcels using the government rectangular surveys. Thanks for watching.